What is up, YouTube? I am back. I did not forget about politics. I know some of y'all in the MAGA cult want me to go slit my wrist, but I'm not doing that. I am here to stop the chaos. I'm not going to let a bunch of uneducated people who can't read past sixth grade cause me to hurt myself. Today, we're talking politics. We've got everything you want to hear, from Trump going to Ford, flipping the bird because somebody called him a pedophile protector. We'll discuss that. We've also got him trying to get rid of Jay Powell, Federal Reserve Chief, that he put in place because he won't do his bidding. We've got that. We've got a little coverage of what went on in Minnesota with that shooting. But more importantly, I have a special guest that will be joining me tonight to talk some politics from TikTok. Real cool sister, highly intelligent, got a little bit of nerd in her, but if you cross her wrong, she might let that military defense out on you. All that and so much more. We get kicked off right now.
I'm up early for the dealers come out. Everybody is outside till the killers come out. You ain't eating, you just act full. I'm impactful. Dozen funerals in a month. I got that pull. I will give it to niggas in all rap forms. Ignatius out right now on all platforms.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, joining me tonight, my special guest is, drum roll please, Miss Lena. Miss Lena from TikTok. How you doing tonight?
Hello, I'm fine. How are you?
I am doing good, and we are glad to have you on this channel to break bread and fellowship and womanship over some politics and try to educate people while we entertain them at the same time. Are you ready to do this?
Yes, I am.
But before we get going, ladies and gentlemen, she has a phenomenal TikTok. If you like me, you'll definitely love her because she looks better than me. And then she's just as smart as I am, and she talks great on TikTok. Her link is in the video description. Please go check her out. But before we do, I want you to take a second, Lena, to just kind of tell people what you do on your TikTok channel and what they can look forward to seeing when they come check you out.
Okay, hello. So on my TikTok channel, what I do is bring awareness to various topics, whether it's trafficking or just justice for things in my local city, things to do with data centers. I'm up at the city council a lot. So I just do a lot of work within my personal community.
If you love to hear that, and I know you guys do, especially you ones that told me, you said, Lamont, don't worry about the people that's leaving your channel because you're doing politics, because if you don't do politics, politics will do you. I know, and I'm taking it to heart, and that's why I'm bringing you guys phenomenal guests such as Lena. We like to start the show off, Lena, on kind of a fun start. Okay. I call this segment We've Had It. And let me give you the theme music for We've Had It. Here we go. So, Lena, in this segment of We've Had It, tell us what you've had it with, and then I'll go next.
Okay, so I guess that I've had it with the censorship that we're seeing now on the media, not only in the news, but on platforms with small and big creators. Not only the censorship, but just the way that they aren't getting the same pay for the videos. Like, they've restricted pay and everything, I think, as a form of punishment. So I hope that that's something that, you know, we bring attention to, and that people really start to push their favorite, you know, supporters. Their favorite creators, you know, push them to your family and friends so that we don't depend on the algorithm to push us through. Like, we're built up off the backs of, you know, our viewers.
Facts. And to get a little bit more in depth to what Lena is saying, ladies and gentlemen, TikTok has been purchased by Larry Ellison. And for those of you that are following me on movies and TVs, shows that we do, you know his son, David Ellison, is trying to buy Warner Brothers. And they're throwing a tantrum because Netflix offered a better deal. And the reason they want to buy Warner Brothers is because they want to control everything from CBS to CNN. They want to control the news media the way they are doing TikTok. So that brings me back to his dad, Larry Ellison, the billionaire. They are throttling creators like me, like Lena. If you're not up there saying some bull jive, lying, basically being a hack for MAGA, they're throttling you. We're living Lena, I like to call this the age of delightment. We went through the age of enlightenment, and we're now living in the propaganda age of delightment, where the rich billionaires and MAGA have figured out the dumber you keep people, the more you keep them entrenched in religion and kick education to the curb, the less likely you are to question authority and think for yourself. And that's exactly what Lena is talking about. And so, Lena, I am completely with you. I've had it with it too. And I think I will give you, I wasn't going to go political.
I'm so sorry.
No. You're perfect. You can do, this was your segment. You go wherever you want to go. I'm trying to debate, do I want to go political or do I want to go to some crazy stuff that be happening in my gym? Do I want to go with the crazy stuff with these New Year's resolutions? Do I want to go with this crazy stuff? I'll just keep it political. I'm sorry. Lena, I don't know if you watch sports. I don't know if you're into sports at all.
A little bit.
Okay. Well, there's this sports commentator on ESPN First Take. And his name is Stephen A. My hairline is almost to my spinal cord, Smith. I've had it with his ass. I have had it with Stephen A. Smith, trying to ride the fence, trying to get people caught up in fucking word salad. He just went out here and basically said that Renee Good deserved to be shot. And then he tried to twist the story to say that the guy murdered her, but he shouldn't have murdered her, but she deserved to be shot because she didn't obey an order. And Lena, they came for his nearly bald-headed ass, and then he got on his little show and wanted to have smoke for everybody.
Yeah.
Lena, I've had it with him.
Yes.
When he first came on the scene, like way back in the day, like 2007, he seemed like he was about the people. He was hungry.
Yeah.
He was up here defending us, and he has done some work to uplift Black voices. But now that he's talking about getting into politics, he flip-flops like a fish out of water. He don't know one day if he wants to be a Republican. The next day he wants to be a Democrat. And I've just had it with him trying to toe the line, and it's getting to the point where nobody is taking him seriously. He's probably going to get his butt yanked off the air. Am I wrong? Have you had it with Stephen A., or is this just something I'm making up in my head?
No, I am absolutely done with him. I was done with him when he had his daughter come onto his little segment or whatever. And then he was telling her, I don't remember the exact words, but to some extent, that, women their value goes down. And he was telling her certain things about the dating world. And I'm like, so do these standards apply to your daughter? Is she supposed to, how is she supposed to conduct herself in a world where you're telling her that men essentially are more valuable than she is, So I was done with him from that point. And ever since then, he's been on a rampage. So I'm tired of seeing him. I am.
I'm done with him. Just kick rocks, Stephen A. Smith. Kick rocks. And when you kick those rocks, I hope you get plantar fasciitis so that you can't get your butt in front of that microphone no more. That's what we've had it with, ladies and gentlemen. Please post your comments on what you think about our We've Had It. Shouts out to Rashonda. Shouts out to It's NL 1913. We really appreciate y'all coming for the vegetables on my channel. This ain't the dessert night. This is the vegetables night. You need your vegetables, which is politics. First subject we're going to cover, and we do have some coverage of what's going on with Jay Powell, as I mentioned, but we've also got some coverage of what's going on with taxing the rich and how just taxing the rich alone is not going to work. And honestly, ladies and gentlemen, this is how I met the lovely Lena. We were kind of going back and forth about how taxing the rich alone is just not going to solve the problems we have in crony capitalism. So, Lena, you handpicked this subject, and I went and got some B-roll of a couple of people talking about what life would be like if we tax the rich. And so I'm going to play you one clip. We'll comment, and I got one more, and then we can comment and kind of bring it full circle on what me and you think would be the best way to kind of fix this economy if we can get to the point where we do actually tax the rich. Here's clip number one.
We have sat here in the last 5 years. We've watched the biggest ever increase in millionaire and billionaire wealth in the history of this planet, immediately followed by a collapse in living standards of the middle class, a complete collapse in the ability of ordinary people to own assets, and nobody's drawing the connection.
Gary, let me ask you a hard question. Can you point to a country in the last century where socialism has worked?
I will point to a country where taxing the rich at a fair rate led to good living standards for working people, United States, 1955. I am trying to stop the redistribution. I am trying to stop the redistribution that is happening in front of our eyes. The American middle class, the British middle class is dying. Their wealth is being sucked away and is being owned by an international super rich elite who pay no tax, while the people watching this show pay 40%, 50%, while billionaires pay nothing.
Lena, you are Shaq tonight. I'm Kobe. I'm lobbing you the ball. Slam dunk it. Run off. What did you think about that segment and how it ties into kind of what we talked about with taxing the rich?
I think that segment actually ties very well into it. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some of these loopholes, and maybe just one loophole in specific. And that is they buy all these properties and they put them in their business name so that they don't have to pay, these personal taxes on these things. And this is a loophole that they consistently use, the government knows about, and they're still allowing them to. And what we can do is start restricting them from doing things like these. Or, in California, when they said that they were going to start taxing them more, and even in New York, a lot of the millionaires and billionaires just claim, okay, well, we'll move to a different state. Okay, so states need to be in coordination with each other. No, you can't just leave this state and go to another state and not pay these taxes. You're going to owe it to one of us, So there just needs to be a better coordinated effort in stopping them from, putting these assets into, those bank accounts, those foreign bank accounts. I forget what they're called. But we just need to stop them from doing things like this.
Yeah, she's talking about those offshore accounts that they're doing, and the offshore account that Trump claims he's going to put the Venezuelan money in. There's no regulation on it. They can move money and shift money around all they want to. And on top of that, because we do have the biggest criminal in American history running the government, now he's jumped on board with Bitcoin so that rich people can shift money around and not pay the taxes that they should be paying to uplift the rest of America, because a rising tide lifts all boats, not a single drop of water raising the boats. And to your point, Lena, I'm going to be honest with everybody. What you're talking about is something I benefit from. I own real estate and I own stocks. And the other way that rich people get away with not paying taxes, Lena, it's kind of what you said. Not only do they put it in an LLC, Lena, but they also will go and take a loan out on their stocks. And people might be saying, well, they're taking a loan out on their stocks. They have to pay the interest. When you have collateral that you can put up with a bank, you don't pay the same interest that the Fed shows you, the 6.6 or the 5.5. If you're ultra rich and you're taking collateral on your stocks and the bank knows that your stocks are going to accumulate in wealth, they might make you pay 3%. And so you do the math on that. You pay 3% on, let's just say you need $100 million. The bank is going to loan it to you. 3% versus what you would have to pay in federal and state income taxes. You'd be paying 20%. You'd be paying 26% to the federal government. And then depending upon your state, you'd be paying more. You do the math on that. Why would they ever pull their money out of those assets? And that's how they get around the loophole, ladies and gentlemen. And the young man, the whole question that Piers Morgan asked him, he should have just slapped himself in the face. He asked that man, has socialism ever worked anywhere? Lena, it's working here right now. It's just that the rich people don't want the poor people to know that the way they confiscate money to go and start a new business, to go and develop a new property, Amazon moves into your community. When you've had small businesses that have been the backbone of these communities for years, Amazon moves in, they give them 10 years not paying taxes, and then give them upfront incentives. Ladies and gentlemen, that is socialism. That is corporate socialism. It is no other name. They just don't want you to use it, but that is corporate socialism. Piers Morgan should have just slapped himself twice and said, oh, it's working in America. Us rich folks are getting socialism. But did he say that, Lena? No.
Absolutely not.
So to crystallize what me and Lena have said, I've got one of my favorite economists, Robert Reich. He worked with the Clinton administration, and no, he did not go and get any oral sex from young women, because the man is barely 4'11". He'd probably be underneath the lady's jaw anyway. So here we go with the clip of him breaking it down. He's an economist. He knows these things, kind of what me and Lena are saying. Take a look at this.
The biggest untold story about how we pay for government involves a big switcheroo by America's wealthy. Decades ago, wealthy Americans financed the federal government by paying taxes. Their tax rate was far higher than what it is today. Now, wealthy Americans finance the federal government by lending it money and collecting interest payments on those loans, profiting when the rest of us pay them back. As the debt continues to grow, interest payments are becoming huge. Taxpayers are now paying more in interest on the federal debt than we spend on the military or on Medicaid. Interest on the debt is expected to grow past $1 trillion next year and could climb to nearly $2 trillion by the 2030s. Follow the money. Who's receiving these interest payments? Mostly Americans, not foreigners. And most of these Americans are wealthy. Investors who park their savings in treasury bonds held by mutual funds, hedge funds, pension funds, banks, insurance companies, personal trusts, and estates. The richest 1% of Americans now own 33% of the nation's total wealth, which is more wealth than the bottom 90% put together, which means a big chunk of the growing interest payments American taxpayers make on the federal debt is going to rich Americans. Now keep following the money. One of the biggest reasons the federal debt has exploded is the tax cuts, starting with the Bush administration in 2001 and extending through Trump's 2018 tax cut, have reduced government revenues by $10 trillion. The extension of the Trump Republican tax cut will cause the debt to explode even further. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office predicts the new and extended cuts in Trump's big, beautiful bill would add at least $3.3 trillion of additional debt over the next decade. Keep following the money. Most of the benefits from those tax cuts are going to the wealthy. A whopping 72% will go to the richest fifth of Americans, 22% to the top 1%. So, you see the big switcheroo? The rich used to pay higher taxes to the government. Now, the government pays the rich interest on a swelling debt caused largely by lower taxes on the rich, which means a growing portion of everybody else's taxes are now paying the rich interest on those loans instead of paying for government services everybody needs. That's wrong. America's wealthy have never been wealthier. They should pay their fair share of taxes. The big switcheroo should be reversed.
Lord have mercy. Lena, sadly, a lot of what he said, they don't teach in school, and it's by design. We need market, and the way debt and bonds work, I feel like should be an essential. But if they educated more people on the way they do, the country would be full of Democrats. And that's why you've seen Republicans and MAGA attack education. What was your takeaway from everything he said about how they used to pay taxes? Now they're loaning the government money by, basically skimming money from bonds.
Well, my main takeaway from that, what I was thinking of while I was watching the video is the fact that a lot of these politicians are the rich people that we're talking about. So of course they're going to keep these systems in place. They solely benefit from them. They're the people who invested the most in the semiconductor industry. It's the same group of people. So we can't, us holding one accountable is holding the other accountable as well. We have to hold politicians accountable.
With that, a big to-do on my list that I don't know if we're going to ever get there, Lena, but it would really help, because my view is a rich person's vote holds more weight than me and you. Our vote is watered down because not only do they get to vote, but because they have enough money to influence politicians, they're also setting the policy and damn near picking the candidates. So it's like they get a 3-to-1 advantage to our one vote. And that Citizens United Supreme Court ruling that happened some years ago has just made it worse. And you're seeing it right now with Democrats. Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, certain issues, they will not even talk about it because they are so bought by AIPAC. They're so bought by dark money. They're so bought by corporate money. Lena, Hakeem Jeffries didn't even want to come out and support Zohran Mamdani, who didn't take a dime in PAC money. I don't know if you was watching it when it happened. Even when Zohran got sworn in, he still didn't show up for him. Didn't show up. And he represents New York. Come on, Hakeem. And so, folks, my fury is not just with Republicans. Democrats need to do better, too. Now, of course, I would rather have a pumpkin be president than Donald Trump. And certainly I'm picking a Democrat any day over any MAGA. But Democrats have got a lot they need to do to inspire people to want to get out to vote. Because, Lena, tell me if I'm wrong. Part of what Trump is doing with all this evilness, this ICE that he's figured out is his only policing arm that he can control, I feel like it's to intimidate people, to have bad news every day, to get people mentally beat down so that they think that they have no control over voting.
Yes, that's absolutely true. It will discourage people, and not only does it discourage them, it distracts them from the stories that we really need to pay attention to. If you're bombarded, or if there are certain stories that constantly dominate the timeline, these little stories go unnoticed.
Exactly, man. Boy, let me find out. I'm out here with a professional. I'm gonna start calling you Professional Lena. You absolutely right, man. She's knocking it out the park today. They know, for example, this Venezuela thing and this Greenland thing all of a sudden has popped up when we know his ass is deep in them Epstein files. I mean waist deep in it. Now, Lena, when I grew up in the South. I'm a country boy, North Carolina, Southern hospitality. The Republicans around here want you to be God-fearing and all that bull job that they swear they was about. And now, since we got Trump, we know that they was lying. Here's another one that they swore that they love. Women. We must take care of our women. We must take care of our young girls. When Lena, one of the reasons we're having so many problems getting them Epstein's files out there is because so many rich white guys that have jumped in front of microphones, talked about their love of Jesus, talked about how America's the greatest economy because of capitalism and they're doing things by their bootstraps, are all up in them Epstein Island files. 100%. They've been out here fucking young girls and don't want nobody to know about it. Democrats and Republicans. I don't care who's up there. I want it all out and I want you all in jail. But we know the majority of the people that's on that list is Republicans. Like, there's just no way around that.
Yeah.
And so here's another distraction Trump is throwing out there. It's Greenland. Let's take a look at this clip because I can't wait to hear how you feel about this, considering what he just did with Venezuela. Golly, talk about he's going to take, Lord, this.
Following President Donald Trump's initial interest in the U.S. acquiring control of Greenland, some of the world's wealthiest individuals, including Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, and Michael Bloomberg, started making significant investments in the mineral-rich island just months later. Ronald Lauder, heir to the Estee Lauder fortune, is credited with proposing the idea of acquiring Greenland to Trump during his first term, as confirmed by former White House National Security Advisor John Bolton to Forbes. Lauder has since invested in an unprofitable Greenlandic freshwater bottling company, per the Danish newspaper Politiken. Since 2019, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, and Michael Bloomberg have invested in Kobold Metals, an AI-powered exploration company searching Greenland for valuable rare earth minerals used in electronic devices. The OpenAI CEO Sam Altman became an investor in Kobold in 2022. Billionaire Elon Musk has also repeatedly supported U.S. annexation of Greenland. In early 2021, PayPal and Palantir tech titan Peter Thiel funded the startup Praxis, which aims to build a technologically advanced quote-unquote freedom city on the island. Trump heightened the discussion around taking control of Greenland for quote-unquote national security purposes, stating publicly, quote, "We need Greenland," after a military action in Venezuela. The speculation intensified when White House advisor Stephen Miller declined to rule out military intervention, which prompted European leaders to reaffirm their support for Greenland's sovereignty. Subsequently, Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Speaker Mike Johnson moved to minimize the idea of military action, with Johnson dismissing it as, quote, "not a thing." Arctic expert and associate professor at the Royal Danish Defence College, Mark Jacobson, views Lauder's Greenland investment as strategically aimed at gaining influence with decision makers rather than having economic substance due to the involvement of some of Greenland's political leaders. He notes.
And Lena, Trump goes on further to say he's going to be willing to offer everybody in Greenland $100,000 to get on board with becoming a sovereign nation. Becoming an annexed nation of the United States. Having said all that, Lena, please drop some knowledge on this, because this is ridiculous.
Okay, so here's the thing about Greenland, and I hate to play the devil's advocate, but we have to start talking about these are moves, actions of war. Okay, these are all small declarations of war. When we talk about the Arctic, Russia has made a lot of progress in the Arctic. And I think that even with Venezuela, what's happening in Greenland, all of this is to combat Russia's influence specifically. So while I don't agree that we should go over there, try to take their land in a sense, try to, get what we can out of them, I do understand the moves if the end goal, I guess, is to go towards war. Okay. But as far as Greenland is concerned, sorry, they kind of are a national security issue in that case. But I think that trying to pay them off is not the way to go about it. I don't see why they didn't take a different avenue, maybe try to get them in NATO, maybe try something else. Maybe you'll elaborate on that for me.
Well, I'm glad you got me here for you, because that same John Bolton, excuse me, I'm thinking about the singer, the same John Bolton that worked with Trump the first time, he was privileged to a meeting between Trump and Putin. Now, I don't know how much studying and following up you do with Trump and Putin, but Trump for Putin is a useful idiot. And the deal that they had before Trump got out of office, they thought Trump was going to get reelected. And the deal was, look, I want you to go over there and get Venezuela, because Russia was already trying to dig its claws into Venezuela anyway. But instead, if Trump was to get elected, he wanted Trump to go and dig into Venezuela in exchange for making it easy for him to take over Ukraine. And so now Russia, like you said, they do want to dig into Greenland too. But the problem is Trump is not the right leader to go and do it, because we cannot trust him with Putin. We cannot trust him. If anything, them taking over Greenland would probably be a national security issue for us, because Trump is working with Putin. That's the issue I have. Now, I don't disagree with you about the security issues with Russia and China and everybody that's making chips and want those rare earth minerals. But the better choice would be to bring them under UN protection. We make sure that nobody's doing any nefarious things over there. We protect those people, and we just can't let Trump do it, because I pretty much believe Trump would just say, Putin, whatever you want to do it. And Lena, this is a Trump who took a plane from Qatar and then turned around and gave them a military base right here in Iowa. Can't believe it. You mean to tell me you trust that guy to take Greenland and not share it with Russia?
Here's the thing about Trump. First of all, the thing about Trump is anybody that's allied to him is also an enemy to him, or will be soon. I think that where him and Putin were assets to each other, they're also each other's biggest enemy, because to some extent they could have some agreement, but we're talking about, the top global powers in the entire world. So they're not in any sense friends. And I think that they were a means to an end for each other. And I think that relationship is just now starting to sever. I think that Putin did think that he potentially had a deal with him or something worked out. But I just think that, as we know, he's not a reliable character. So he's going to cross him for his own interests.
I don't think he's going to do it because I think Putin has something on him.
Oh,
and
yeah.
and not only do I think Putin has something on him, but I think the thing that Putin has on him and other supporters is directly tied to the Epstein files. And what I mean is the money trail.
Yeah.
Because Russia is just like Switzerland with these bank accounts. And they've traced some of the money to a Russian bank.
Mm-hmm.
Some of this trafficking money. So I believe Putin probably could connect the dots to pretty much all these rich guys tied to Trump. And that's what he's holding over Trump's head, which is why Trump hasn't really crossed him yet. And he might not ever cross Putin. Putin is probably the one person Trump won't go redneck trailer park trash on. Mm-hmm. Putin's probably the one person. And so for that, Lena, I think that Trump is going to always be in the back pocket of Putin eternally. Now, would I like to see Putin and Trump get into it so Putin can release whatever he's got on Trump? Absolutely. But then you're really talking about Trump as a man who has no shame, and a man who has no shame that gets embarrassed becomes like a animal cornered. And that's when I'd be really worried, but we'll see. We want you guys to post your comments. Let us know what you think. You got something else to say about that, Lena?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. Be sure to go and support her channel, ladies and gentlemen, on TikTok. Her link is in the video description. You will be thoroughly entertained. And now it's time to break this up a little bit. Let's just break it up and let's just have, wait a minute. Oh, man. See, this is what happened when you let your kids get near your computer. They start deleting stuff. God, be more careful, man.
And they're good with computers.
Oh my God, my 5-year-old daughter, the warrior princess, man, boy. Okay, well, we won't do that today, ladies and gentlemen. I'll bring up the top funny video next time because I think she has deleted it because it's not in the queue. And so now, let me take y'all to Minnesota, and let me take Lena to Minnesota. Lena, you are firmly aware of what happened to Mrs. Good, mother of 3, was just trying to not run over ICE, but just trying to protect herself because we've got a situation in this country. And Lena, I have stepped in and helped a Hispanic woman who has a son that was in my daughter's class. My daughter is in a Spanish emerging translation class. So she's learning English and Spanish together. And I live, like I said, I live in a red county it's a blue state right now, but it flip-flops. There were some unmarked men, and I seen it coming. Mask on their face. You couldn't tell if it was the police or what. I seen them looking at this lady, and this lady is decent looking, and her son is like 5 years old. Long story short, I had to intervene at the risk of getting hurt, but I was able to get them to go away. So can you imagine as a woman what it must feel like to have these people in unmarked cars with masks on, and some of them are pretending to be ICE when a lot of these stories have come out that they are just people taking women, putting them in a trafficking situation. So who can blame Miss Good for what she did? And before I let you go, I want you to take a look at somebody who is calling it like it is and just calling bull jive on everybody, including Stephen A. His hairline is to his spinal cord spiff for just thinking that she was a criminal. Take a look at my boy Bomani.
What I will point out, though, is that the dude the whole way was filming it himself with his own cell phone. And when it came time to shoot the woman, passes the cell phone from one hand to the other hand so he can use his trigger hand to shoot into the woman's car and then calls her a after it's said and done. This isn't a body cam that I'm talking about, right? No, man, they out here making content. You realize how crazy that is? If there's any reflection of the madness of the world that we live in right now, is that somebody's out here making content and did not think to himself, hey, I maybe shouldn't shoot somebody right now because I'm taking a video of it. Not just somebody might be taking a video of it. You never know if somebody's looking. I'm taking a video of it and still shot this woman. What?
Wow. Wow. So, Lena, break it down for what you have seen of the coverage and just kind of expand on how you would feel as a woman if you see these goons coming up to you. You don't know if they police or what. Give us the good word.
Yeah. So number one, if a man gets out of a unmarked car and tries to take me, I'm not going. It's a natural instinct to fight. And I actually recently had a conversation with the police out here in Arizona because my car had a flat and they were waiting for help to come just fix my tire. So what he said was that they were chasing down cars and stuff because they were unmarked vehicles. They were just grabbing people. There was no coordination with the police. And that makes it a very dangerous situation. I think at the very least, if they were going to respect the people in these cities, they would coordinate with the police. They would have the proper paperwork. And you just can't go around, being above the law because you're part of a group. That doesn't make sense. There are laws that we abide by. There are constitutional rights that people have, and that's the right to due process. And they aren't honoring these.
Not only the right to due process, but these guys aren't reading Miranda rights, as you said. And right now, they feel emboldened because Trump has given out all these pardons to hardened criminals. Can we not forget January 6th and all the pardons he gave to these buffoons? And sadly, half of them done going back to jail. And the other thing I know from living in the Deep South, a lot of these guys that go to the police force and Homeland Security and all that shit are these want to be special people that want to be on the damn volunteer fire department so they can put a siren on top of their car. The ones that go and watch Bigfoot and go to these race cars all the time, that want to feel important, that want to have power, that have no business having it. That's what you got out here trying to police people, trying to pretend like they're trying to deport people when what they're really doing is harassing citizens, feeling like they have impunity because they know if something happens to them too badly, they're probably not going to get prosecuted with this DOJ. And if they were to get prosecuted and lost, Trump would pardon them. And if it all went to the Supreme Court, they got his back too. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this is all a fear and scare tactic. And you should do like me and Lena did. Lena has talked about talking to the local police department. I personally have talked to the mayor in my city. I've talked to the mayor in the next city. I've talked to some of the city council. And I told them, if they bother me, are y'all going to have my back if I defend myself properly? Now, they said yes. These are politicians. Now, they said yes. Most of them know I have a pretty big YouTube channel, so I'm sure they would do their thing. But one way you can protect yourself, go meet your politicians, your Democratic politicians, the politicians that you know have done the best job to tell the truth, and let them know that if your rights are violated, you're not going to tolerate it. Because this is too dangerous. You cannot have people wearing masks in unmarked cars, running up on you talking about listen to my orders. Where we do that at? They don't even do that in hell. Satan don't got no foot soldiers out there talking about with masks on and stuff like. No, folks, you got to protect yourself. And I'm all about protection. Lena, you got anything you want to say about the shooting, or you want to wrap that one up?
I pretty much want to wrap that one up. I'll wrap that up. Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. Feel free. This is a free space here. You can say whatever's on your mind, whatever's on your heart. And I actually did find that funny video. So, ladies and gentlemen, I found it. My daughter put it in the trash. That's where it was at. It was in the trash on my computer. And I found it. So we're going to give a moment of levity on this show today. So I want you guys to comment on which one of these fools is the funniest, to kind of have a moment before we go into the next deep topic. Here Here we go, Lena. I can go ahead and tell you the New Jack one is my funniest one because I'm a little older than you. I'm old head. I was in the New Jack City era. So take a look at this.
I did not expect him to fall.
I know. That's why I said that's my favorite one. Which one was your favorite one out of all those?
Mine, it was when he fell. Wow.
That was so Genuine made the video twice. Yeah. And what was so bad about the last one was he was getting it. He was New Jack City getting it. I was like, bruh, do your thing, brother. And then all of a sudden he stumbled on his own 2 feet. Bruh. Golly. Ladies and gentlemen, that's part of getting old. Your coordination get off a little bit. So post your comments. Let us know which one of those gave you cause to pause. Ray J one was funny too, because Ray J made a living off selling his body, and dude looked like he just got finished drinking 2/5 of something. So post your comments, ladies and gentlemen. Next, I want to take you to this, Lena. Elizabeth Warren. She gave this impassioned speech just yesterday about what the Democrats have been doing wrong and what we can do to improve. I'm going to play the clip, and I want to hear if you think that what she's saying has validity. Let's take a look.
Here at home, President Trump's tariffs are driving up costs for families. Millions of Americans have lost their health insurance so that Republicans could fund tax breaks for rich people. ICE is sowing chaos and terror in our communities, resulting in the tragic killing of Renee Good in Minnesota. And Donald Trump's view of the First Amendment is that he gets to say whatever he wants, and he gets to use the power of government to silence, extort, bankrupt, or even prosecute anyone who criticizes him. Acting like a wannabe dictator that he is, Trump is trying to push out the chairman of the Federal Reserve Board and complete his corrupt takeover of America's central bank so that it serves his interests along with his billionaire friends. And he has invaded Venezuela to boost the profits of oil companies and has announced that he will run the country. Now, none of this would be happening if Democrats hadn't been wiped out in 2024. And according to some self-described experts, Democrats lost power because we were too progressive. For a lot of powerful people, wealthy people from Wall Street, Silicon Valley, and Washington, too progressive is code used to undermine any economic agenda that favors working people. Look, they put it more politely, but these movers and shakers want the Democratic Party to respond to the 2024 losses by watering down our economic agenda and sucking up to the rich and powerful, claiming that a less progressive Democratic Party will win more elections. They are wrong. Americans are stretched to the breaking point financially, and they will vote for candidates who name what is wrong and who credibly demonstrate that they will take on a rigged system in order to fix it. Revising our economic agenda to tiptoe around that conclusion might appeal to the wealthy, but it will not help Democrats build a bigger tent. And it definitely will not help Democrats win elections. A Democratic Party that worries more about offending big donors than delivering for working people is a party doomed to fail in 2026, 2028, and beyond.
Wow. Wow. What did you think about all that, Ms. Lena?
I thought that she was absolutely correct. I would love to see these Democrats bring in more fire. I think that's why it was refreshing to see Mondami. You know, I may have pronounced his name wrong. I'm hoping I didn't, but this is why it's refreshing to see. We need new faces. We need young faces. We need people that are going to stand up to power, that are going to reject, you know, this lobbying that these corporations want to do, have these politicians be a part of, you know. So I completely agree with what she said.
100%. Her, Bernie, AOC, I guess you can call them Justice Social Democrats, have been trying for years to get people to understand just how bad this dirty money is in politics. And Democrats accept it too. A lot of them accept it. And when you accept this money, you can't do what's in the best interest of the people that you need to serve. Like I said, it's almost as if those rich donors' vote counts twice as much as ours, because they're picking candidates, they're, you know, setting the narratives for policy, and it makes you frustrated. But we got a lot of these old head Democrats, Lena, that need to go sit down. They need to take 2 cups of sit the F down and let the new breed of people come in. Chuck Schumer, go get you a roomer. That's what you need to do. Get the hell up on out of here. Hakeem, you ain't the dream no more. Get the hell on up out of here. We need y'all to get to moving so that these new young progressives can come in. And anytime you do surveys, Lena, of progressive places, Europe, Denmark, Switzerland, Greenland, everybody talks about how happy they are. Them people ain't taking Trump's $100,000. They getting free health care. They're getting free education, tuition, and college. They get a safety net for food, and they get a whole lot of help with their elderly and their young for education. And you don't hear not one rich Greenland person complaining. You don't hear not one rich person in Switzerland complaining. And you hardly hear anybody in France complaining. And these are all places that have those kind of social policies that not just benefit the rich, they also benefit the working class too. And when you have a happy working class, they won't be nitpicking at the rich as much. You got to keep them happy too. The one thing she did say that struck me that I knew she was going to jump on: the attack on Jerome Powell by Trump. I knew she was going to jump on that because she has been one who's been trying to get politicians not to be able to trade stocks and insiders. She's been trying to do that for years, and it's never going anywhere because, Lena, too many of them benefit from it. Like too many of them is Marjorie Taylor Greene, for example, her net worth when she went into office was like under $1 million. Here we are, 5 years later, the chick is worth $20 million. And Lena, it's not because of her good looks. It's not because she speaks better than anybody else. I mean, it's not because she has this, as the Republicans say, she has a special set of talent and skills that she was blessed with. It ain't because of none of that. What she got was some insider trading. That's what she got. And you're familiar with chip companies. One of her biggest assets is in NVIDIA. Another one is in AMD. Then she got a little bit in Taiwan Semi. Then she put a little money in Palantir. And we just got finished talking about the folks that run Palantir: Peter Thiel, Alex Cart, Elon Musk, Musty Musk, that little group. So, and what they're trying to do with Jerome Powell, Lena, he was put in by Trump, and I guess folks just tend to forget that. He was put in by Trump. He's a Republican, but he is, I guess he's like the last vestige of principled, what they would call rhino Republicans, because he's using economic data to set federal monetary policy. Now, this kind of goes back to what me and you was talking about when we was like how the rich skirt taxes. Trump wants rates cheap. Every rich person wants rates cheap. You know why, Lena? Because that means that their loans are cheaper.
Yeah, they borrow.
Yes, their loans are even more cheaper. Like I'm telling you right now, with the way rates are, when they borrow money, they're probably paying at best 3%, at best, which is already below prime rate. Already below prime rate. You drop those interest rates down even more, they'd be paying like maybe 1% on all that money, and just continuing to just whack the American people in the head. And so the investigation he's doing on Jerome Powell is about renovations they're doing to the office.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? What do you think about the DOJ going after a principled man? And it's hard for me to say principled with a Republican, but I got to say it with him because I've been watching him since he got in. He has been I use the data that comes out before I make a move.
Yeah. So what I think about that is, honestly, he's just adding to the long list of people that were on Donald Trump's side to some extent. You know, they had a good, relationship with him. And then they always turn. If we look at his first presidency, I think they said like half of the people ended up quitting, before the end of his term. So this is just another repetitive thing that happened in the same as, his first election. The same with Marjorie Taylor Greene, how she just stepped down. A lot of these people are promoted to these positions quickly. And not in his case, but in other cases, they aren't necessarily qualified for these positions. So they get up there, they get under the pressure, they get under the fire. Then they realize, oh, I sold my soul. This isn't what I signed on for. And then they have to go against him. And then in the end, they're just going to quit. That's what they do. They just give up because they realize that they took the wrong side. So where do they go? There's no man's land for them. They can't run to the Democrats and it's going to make them look crazy. They can't go back to the Republicans because they're a traitor. So what do? You just disappear.
100% right. And some of the people that have been disappeared, Mike Pence, and they was coming to kill him, and he's been excommunicated. Yeah. Mike Pence is gone. Bolton, that we just got finished talking about. You don't hear nothing about him. Scaramucci, you remember Scaramucci? He's gone. Like, here's the thing. The people that are with Trump now, Lena, are the lowest of the low, the most evil of the most evil. And the real person running everything going on in the administration is Stephen Miller, the little man who obviously he needs a hug. His mama and daddy didn't hug him enough. He needs some therapy deeply. He's the one that they're saying from reports is the one pulling the strings. And what they do for Trump just really want to go and do his little press conferences. He just want to work on that project on the East Wing, which, make no mistake, Lena, what would have happened if Obama would have tore down the East Wing of the White House and used the taxpayers' money to try to put up a fucking ballroom? What?
It would have been complete chaos. I mean, he would have been slammed in the media. He never would have lived it down, ever.
No, they would have been talking about Obama trying to put Soul Train in the White House. I can just hear the jokes right now. Like, they would have never let it go down. BET Plus in the White House. But they letting Trump get away with it. And how dare him go after Jerome Powell, who his renovations nowhere near as much as what Trump is doing with the people's money. And you're just trying to do anything to assert authority. And his term is up, Lena, like in May or something like that. Yeah. His term is up. So, folks, post your comments. Stay alert, people. This guy is just anything to keep your eyes off his policies he's doing behind your back, and the Epstein files is what he's trying to do right now. Plus, I think his butt cheeks is clenching a little bit because those midterms is coming, and you've got a few Republicans saying that they would be willing to impeach. Now, I got to see it to believe it. I do. I got to see it to believe it. But, Lena, that's what they're saying. Lena,
sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
I was going to say real quick, speaking of impeachment, did you see that they said that they were going to start bringing the articles of impeachment for Kristi Noem?
Not only Kristi Noem, but guess who else they're thinking about bringing articles of impeachment for?
Who?
The head of the DOJ.
Oh, makes sense. Makes sense.
But the problem is Trump is like, they're batting around. Trump is getting ready to fire her anyway because she won't do everything he wants her to do. And I'm just like, what more do you want the chick to do? She's done everything you want you to do. What more can she do? You want her to go and beat the judge in the head and put on the robe? But like,
That's exactly what he wants. They think that women are subservient. They think that women should operate under command and nothing else, no opposition. So yeah, that's his assumption for her.
So before we go to the last subject, Lena, and again, thank you for your time. Hope you'll want to come back. This has been very interesting. Hope it's been informative and some laughs where we're talking about some sad stuff, but you got a laugh or two in there. Explain to me, what do you think is going on in the mind of women who are in MAGA that really understand what the real message is, but get out here and spew this, be self-servient to your husband, and you know, I don't understand how they do the mental gymnastics of you're a woman, you want to own a business, you're a right-wing woman, you have a podcast. But in the same breath, you're basically saying you support this party that belittles women, really don't want women to have credit cards. They even literally came out and basically said they don't want women to vote. Remember that pastor, pastor, don't want women to vote. So, Lena, what is going on in there? Is this like Stockholm Syndrome? Help me understand why would a woman want to support all that?
First of all, these women are just traitors, okay? They're traitors and they're sellouts to women in general. Let's start there. Yeah. And second off, outside of, them betraying us, they want a sense of power. And it's a sense of power that comes with certain women when they get into these positions. They know that if they behave as a puppet, it'll make them easier, it'll make the position easier for them to get. Like the politicians will want to lobby behind them. And it's certain women, and I don't want to say, it's hard to say it. I don't want to say it on YouTube, but it's certain women, that uphold the system because they benefit from it. After they get theirs, they get the residuals, whatever's left of the scraps, and then the rest of it trickles down to the rest of us. So they don't really care about what happens to us as long as their pockets are full.
Oh, look, you can say it on my channel. Like the majority of my money don't come from YouTube. So we are free to say what we want. We're unbossed. We're not capped by anybody. And to your point, I'll say this. When I was in high school, my high school had a good mix of black, white, but the whites that was in my school were like the wealthy whites. Like they were stacked. And the girl was telling us that her mama basically was telling her what Charlie Kirk said. The reason you go to college is to find you a rich man. That's what she was telling her. Now, the reason she told me that was because even at that young age, she wasn't buying it. Mm-hmm. She wanted to be a doctor, and she wasn't going to go to school to try to find some rich man, so she couldn't be a doctor. They also talked about, well, if you do that, you won't be able to have kids. She was like, I have kids later. Mm-hmm. And she did that. So she did like I did, waited till like 40 to have children and feels great about it. And it's like, doing well. Mm-hmm. So you do have a certain segment of white women and probably some blacks too. I'm sure everybody does it. But the majority of people in this country right now are whites, telling their kids, go find you a rich guy in college. Okay. You do that and you limit your options, ladies and gentlemen. You severely restrict your options, because if that person goes rogue, what if you wake up one day and the dude next to you is a complete stranger, and you can't find the person you marry? Like you look into that stranger's eyes and you can't seem to fish out the real human being that was him. What do? You're stuck. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to go back to college and all that stuff at a later age and just have the stress of being an adult in your life. So I preach to my daughter, you have room to have friends, you have room to have love, but always try to be the best you can to be a self-starter, self-sufficient, and then you can join other people that want to help you push yourself to the best of your ability. And so here we go. This is the last piece I got for you, and then we'll get you on the off-ramp. This is about the stupid takeover that the same people that are getting ready to take over TikTok are trying to take over the film and movie industry. And people might be saying, well, why would they do that? Pop culture tends to set the narrative for just about 2 out of 5 young people in this country. That's where they get their marching orders from. And I say, and it's 2 out of 5. Back in my day, when we didn't have social media, it was probably 4 out of 5. But nowadays, on TV and movies, pop culture sets the narrative. So Larry Ellison, son David Ellison, is trying to buy Warner Brothers. That's HBO, that's CNN, that's MSNBC, that's all those. And the reason they want to buy it is for what they're doing on TikTok already. They want to throttle the voices of people that want you to respect facts. They want to be pushing out this right-wing bull jive that has y'all thinking that women should just go to college, find a man, go make some babies. Why do we need DEI? You might have that person flying the airplane who's not qualified when that's not what DEI means. It doesn't mean that. You still got to be qualified, damn it. It doesn't mean that. Golly. But take a listen to what they decided to do, because the board at WB said, no, we want to go with Netflix because we don't really trust y'all, because y'all are so close to the Trump administration. And we all know, Lena, that Trump, he don't never pay no bills. He's never paid no bills. So take a look. This comes from my boy, good Canadian kid. No matter of fact, great Canadian kid, John Campia. Go check him out if you're not already subscribed to his channel. Here we go.
The third reason that Warner Brothers gave was a little bit more poignant. And that was, we don't trust these guys. We don't trust these guys. One of the things directly said was, we basically don't trust them, and that we fear as we get late, if we chose Paramount on certain terms, as we get closer to the execution date, they're going to pull a Vader and say, I'm altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it further. And then one of the very key observation things that they said was, Paramount also just strikes us as a very litigious partner. And we don't trust that we're not going to get close to the deal, and then they're going to take us to court to change the deal in ways that we don't want. We think they're very litigious. Well, like a jilted person saying, how dare you call me a whore? I'm going to go sleep with 12 people for money. Paramount just said, how dare you call us litigious? And then this, coming to us from Routers, Paramount sues Warner Brothers. Just as Warner Brothers says, we also don't trust these guys. We find them to be very litigious potential partners. So they say, oh, call us litigious, will you? We're going to litigate you. And like whiny, insufferable, petulant, weak, bitch little babies, Paramount has now said, well, we couldn't do it the fair way. We couldn't put together a solid, reasonable financing package. We couldn't make you a good enough offer, and we couldn't prove to you that we're trustworthy. We couldn't do the things needed to do to legitimately win this thing. So we're going to do what fuckface McCockguzzler President Donald Trump does, and we're going to just become litigious. Well, then we're going to sue you. We're going to try to install our own board members. We're going to try to do this. We're going to try to do all these things.
Lena, Lord have mercy. That has David Ellison's daddy written all over it. And the reason it has his daddy written all over it is because there are a bunch of people Trump wants to fire that works with CNN. And since Trump has held Larry Ellison, at one point in time, he was the richest man in the world last year for like a month when there was a deal that Trump brokered to help merge him and Intel. He was the richest man in the world for like a month. He's throttling TikTok already. He gets his hand on Warner Brothers and all the stuff they control. You might as well get ready for every other story that we see coming from HBO is going to be some faith-based right-wing hack, MAGA, reverend talking about you shouldn't have empathy for somebody. Floor is yours, Lena. Take the floor. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, so what we see right now, not just with this in general, but just overall, is people are grasping at power. It's kind of in the air because we're going into a new era. So I know we say we don't want kings, obviously, but in a sense, some of these people operate as kings. These are people that are trying to become the most powerful. These are almost monopolies. A lot of these companies are condensing. This is about control. And even when we look at these apps and stuff, they started having to have social media stars come to these Golden Globes and these Oscar events and things just to bring light and attention to them. They know that even if they acquire whatever they would like, the attention is still going to be on the youth, and that's going to reside in these apps. So I think that they have to gain control of these apps in order to be this major conglomerate. I guess that's my only thoughts on that.
I agree. You get the youth, you can get to these people when they're very young. It becomes hard to shake them from whatever you propagandize them with. Like there are some people who know that the stove is hot because you taught them the stove is hot, but they don't understand it until they touch it. Mm-hmm. And that's what they're trying to do with this propaganda, with this movie studio, and then tying it to TikTok. And so, ladies and gentlemen, stay informed. I counsel my Paramount, and God knows it hurt me to do that because I love Landman. I love that show, but I had to let it go. It ain't worth it for me. It ain't worth it for me. I counseled it. And maybe if Paramount can get their act together, which I doubt, because now they want to tie you up in litigation. And who has the money to basically go against the federal government? Because that's who they're dealing with. Paramount has the weight of the federal government. I don't trust hardly any of these judges. I damn sure don't trust the Supreme Court. And so, they're trying to get WB to buy out. And Lena, here's another thing that all these businessmen and white guys have always taught me, and I'm sure they taught you this, that the backbone that makes capitalism special is the fact that it's built on competition, not having monopolies. Like you just said, they're trying to monopolize this. What how many times y'all gonna talk three sides out your mouth? Mm-hmm. 1 minute is do things in the name of Jesus. Then we see y'all out here in the Epstein files. Then you're telling us to pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Don't take money from the government. You're taking money from the government left and right, spending it at your leisure. Then you tell us that the greatest thing within capitalism is competition. And you out here trying to shut down competition. Lena, I feel like the propaganda they threw at us has been lies. Lies is WWE. What say you?
It's all lies. That's all they know how to do. That's all they know how to do is lie.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have enjoyed a night with Lena. If you want to enjoy every night with Lena, all you got to do is subscribe to her TikTok channel. It is right down there in the video description. Lena, any parting words for my audience until they see you next time?
Yes, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to check out his channel and watch all his videos and like and comment and just send support for your favorite creators, guys. Thank you so much.
You heard the word. We definitely need that. And having said that, don't forget to like the video, as she said, subscribe. The best way to help the algorithm nowadays, ladies and gentlemen, is doing more than like. You leave a comment. That's the best way to trigger the algorithm, especially on YouTube. And until that next Sexy as Hell video, here's my favorite outro with that girl.
Somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body. Somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body. Somebody's bleach blonde, bad